Imagine losing everything in a single night, your job, your hope, your strength to go on. But then, in the darkest moment, one act of courage changes not only your life, but the future of those you love. This is a story about sacrifice, about faith, and about the kindness that returns when we least expect it. Welcome to Kindness Breeze. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing stories that touch the heart. The rain fell in relentless sheets over the city, each drop striking pavement like 1,000 tiny hammers. The streets glistened under the dim orange glow of tired streetlights, and the wind carried with it the heavy smell of gasoline and damp concrete. Somewhere between those streets and broken sidewalks sat Daniel, hunched forward on a splintered bench at the bus stop. His jacket clung to him like a second skin, soaked through, offering no warmth against the chill that seeped into his bones. He held his head in his hands, fingers trembling, not from the cold, but from the weight of defeat. That night, something inside him had cracked. Daniel was a father of 2 beautiful children. Emily, just 9, with eyes full of questions too big for her age, and Noah, only 6, whose laughter could melt even the darkest day. But their mother, Emma, was gone. She had passed 3 years earlier after a sudden illness that drained not only their savings but also every drop of joy Daniel had once carried in his chest. Since then, life had been an endless climb up a mountain with no peak. He worked nights at a warehouse, lifting heavy crates until his back screamed in protest. By day, he scrubbed floors at a downtown office building. Every dollar mattered. Every hour stolen from sleep was another meal, another light kept on, another step away from the abyss. He endured it all because of Emily and Noah. For them, he would carry the world. But that evening, the fragile balance of his world had collapsed. The manager at the office pulled him aside. The fluorescent lights flickered above, casting a harsh glow on the man's face as he delivered the words like a hammer to Daniel's chest. "We're cutting back. I'm sorry, Daniel. You're one of the last hired, so, you're one of the first to go." Daniel stood frozen, the mop still in his hand, water dripping silently onto the floor. He opened his mouth to argue, to beg, but nothing came out. The man patted his shoulder with a hollow sympathy and walked away. And just like that, half his income vanished. Sorry. That word echoed inside him with cruel sharpness. Sorry didn't cover rent. Sorry didn't buy groceries. Sorry didn't cure Noah's cough or keep Emily's shoes from splitting at the seams. So now he sat at the bus stop, rain streaming down his face, his body trembling under the weight of despair. He wanted to scream, but the city swallowed his silence whole. Then it happened. A screech tore through the night, followed by the gut-wrenching crunch of metal. Daniel's head shot up. Across the intersection, a car had skidded on the slick road, slamming hard into a utility pole. Sparks hissed as wires snapped, spitting angry blue light into the rain. People gasped, pointed, but no one moved. Daniel didn't think. His tired, aching body surged with a strength he didn't know he still had. He bolted across the street, splashing through puddles, his heart hammering in his ears. The car's hood was folded in on itself, smoke curling from under it like a warning. Inside, through the fractured glass, he saw them, a young boy, maybe Noah's age, trapped in the passenger seat, crying for his mother, whose head lay slumped against the wheel. The door wouldn't budge. Daniel pulled until his palms burned raw. With a desperate shout, he slammed his elbow against the glass until it gave way, shards slicing into his skin. Blood mixed with rain, but he didn't stop. He reached in, unbuckling the boy's seatbelt, dragging him carefully through the jagged frame. The child sobbed against his shoulder, his small hands clutching at Daniel's soaked shirt. Daniel handed him to a bystander, his voice hoarse, "Take him. Get him away from here." But the mother was still inside. Smoke was filling the car, flames licking at the edges of the crumpled hood. Daniel dove back in, coughing violently, vision blurring as he fumbled for her seatbelt. With one last heave, fueled by something deeper than strength, he pulled her free, half carrying, half dragging her away just as the car erupted into a ball of fire. The crowd gasped, some cheering, others staring in shock. But Daniel didn't hear any of it. His knees buckled beneath him, his lungs clawing for air, his hands shredded and bleeding. He collapsed on the wet asphalt, chest heaving. The woman and her child were safe. Alive. And Daniel? He was just a soaked, nameless man in the rain. The ambulance arrived minutes later, whisking them away. No one asked his name. No one offered him help. And so, unseen and unthanked, he turned and walked away, his soaked shoes slapping against the pavement. When he finally reached the tiny apartment, Emily and Noah were waiting by the window, their faces lighting up as he walked in. "Daddy! You're late," Emily whispered, rushing to hug him. Daniel smiled weakly, forcing the corners of his mouth to rise. He didn't tell them about the job he had lost. He didn't tell them about the empty wallet in his pocket. He just kissed their foreheads, tucked them into bed, and read them a story, his voice cracking at the edges he tried to hide. When they drifted into sleep, he sat in the dark living room, staring at the ceiling, whispering a prayer he wasn't sure anyone was listening to. "God, what do I do now?" The next morning came like every other, gray, heavy, merciless. Daniel scoured the city for work, rejected again and again. Too old. Not qualified. Position already filled. His hope frayed like worn rope, threatening to snap. Then, on the third morning, a knock echoed through the small apartment. Not the impatient hammering of the landlord, but a measured, deliberate knock. Strong. Unmistakable. Daniel opened the door, and froze. There she was. The woman from the wreck, standing tall and elegant in a tailored coat, her son clutching her hand. Behind her were two men in suits, their presence commanding. Her eyes softened when they met his. "You don't know me," she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion, "but I know you. You saved my life. You saved my son's life. And I couldn't rest until I found you." Daniel's lips parted, words caught in his throat. "My name is Isabel Turner," she continued. "I run the Turner Foundation. We've helped thousands of families, but that night, you showed me something I had forgotten. That there are still people who act out of pure selflessness. That goodness exists, even when it costs everything." She pulled a folder from her bag, holding it out to him. "I don't want to offer you charity. I want to offer you opportunity. A position at my foundation. A home for you and your children. Full support, education for Emily and Noah, healthcare, stability. Everything you've been trying so desperately to provide alone." Tears stung Daniel's eyes. He looked down at Emily and Noah, who had peeked from behind him, their eyes wide with hope. For the first time in years, their faces glowed with something he had nearly forgotten, belief that tomorrow could be brighter than today. Daniel's knees weakened. His chest ached with the flood of emotions he had bottled for so long. Gratitude. Relief. Overwhelming love for the two children staring up at him. His voice trembled as he whispered, I don't know what to say." Isabel smiled gently. "Just say yes." And in that moment, Daniel understood. Sometimes, the darkest nights are not the end of the story, they are the path to dawn. He gathered his children into his arms, his tears soaking their hair, and for the first time in years, he allowed himself to believe in miracles.